Welcome to Reeves Rants. We got a good story for you today. It's a convenience store worker, attempted robbery gone wrong, where the convenience store worker defends himself and kills the man who was robbing him. We've seen a bunch more of this since this incident. This incident was a little while ago. I like covering a little bit older of stories. That way we kind of let it breathe and we kind of see what's happened since then. There's been more developments on this story since then, but my focus is on how the media tells this story, and it's kind of loosely told by the media, not really knowing exactly what they're saying. And specifically, the liberal in the room doesn't really know exactly what happened in the case, but yet defends an automatic liberal standpoint when this is pretty much just two people. One guy is getting robbed at his job, and another man is doing the robbing. But anyway, with that being said, we're going to jump into it. But if you haven't hit that like and subscribe, do that now. So let's roll.
Jose Alba is a clerk at a bodega in New York City. It's called the Blue Moon Convenience Store. He was attacked by somebody who started a fight with Alba.
One man, Alba, is at his job, and the other man in the white t-shirt in the video is not at his job, behind the register at a convenience store, not attacking, but robbing him. Listen to the details of the story and you'll hear that it's a robbery, not an attacking.
Because his girlfriend's, I think it was an EBT card, didn't work when she was trying to buy a bag of chips. Cards declined. The boyfriend comes in, starts attacking Alba.
Girlfriend's EBT card gets declined. Boyfriend decides, no, it's not declined. You're going to take this card anyway. Goes in forcefully, or goes behind the cash register to forcefully what? Take the chips? To do what behind the cash register? It's not an attack. This is a robbery. She could not pay for the chips. Her boyfriend came behind the counter to do what exactly? To force the man to let them take the chips.
As you can see on the viral video, you saw the picture of it in that headline. Alba stabbed the man who attacked him to death. He was sent to Rikers Island on an exceedingly high bail. I think it was like $250,000. It was then dropped to $50,000, and he's now out.
For this man to end up in jail at all is ridiculous. Talk about bail reform or talk about bail at all. He shouldn't even have went to jail. It was clearly a robbery. The police on the scene, I'm questioning how the hell they ended up arresting the convenience store worker who is defended himself. I don't understand how the police on the scene even arrested this man. They should be the ones being investigated in this case as to why they arrested a man who was work at his job and then was robbed. And he then defended himself and killed the robber. That's what happened.
But it's fairly outrageous the way I think the prosecutor reacted to this. There is video. He had a complete right to defend himself in this case. Ryan, what is your take on this whole horrible situation? I mean, it is awful no matter how you look at it. A man died. A man had to take a life in defense of himself. Went to Rikers Island, is now being charged. What do you make of it?
The convenience store worker didn't start off that day wanting to kill somebody. And the guy who died didn't start off the day wanting to die. We need to potentially be thinking through what's creating these circumstances.
From a bail reform perspective, it puts a lot of conservatives in a difficult position because they've been railing against bail reform.
No, no, it wasn't the Republicans railing against bail reform for the last few years, or sentencing reform, or any of these reforms when it comes to criminals. It has not been the Republican Party. It has been left-leaning celebrities, for the most part, Kim Kardashian specifically went to Donald Trump, and she was criticized for it. So what are you talking about exactly? And why are you bringing in a political argument off the get-go of bail reform? And if you want to bring up bail reform, why did he then give this man so much bail in comparison to people who've done worse, who have less bail? So when you say that, all of what you just said is a contradiction in itself. It is unbelievable that you would bring in a political situation and it all be completely wrong.
I don't think that this store owner is a further danger to society. I don't think he's the kind of person that needs some prohibitive bail to keep him locked up. I think that the prosecutor said that he had a pre-planned trip to the Dominican Republic, and so therefore he was a flight risk. I don't think that's fair. I think people travel. So I think that that people are right to criticize the bail level, and he should be able to get out, and I suspect he will face trial.
The only reason why he faced trial is because in America, that's where our real legal rights are exercised, and we can defend ourselves truly there.
The whole thing is tragic, and obviously everybody supports a right to defend yourself. The question of a lethal response, an escalation.
When you defend yourself, it's unbelievable reactionary. You don't get to decide in the moment how you're going to react. You just react. This is why training in so many cases, safety training especially, is instituted, is because then you know what to do instantaneously in these situations without having to stumble around and not know what to do. So this is how this man reacted, and now we have the Monday morning quarterback, liberal, now in defense of an attack and saying this is an attack. The man is sitting down behind a counter and is being, or was pushed down behind a counter and was at his job. This is a robbery at this point, and to be described in any other way is ridiculous.
He obviously, he was the one who was attacked. And as he's trying to get out, you can see the victim then kind of grab him. And
it's pretty clear what I can see. It looks like he's being robbed to me.
And that's when he starts stabbing him. He doesn't necessarily know whether or not the person is armed, and so you can understand his fear. And
you can understand his fear. Do you see what's happening in the video? This dude is being robbed. Where do you think this is going to end up going, Monday morning quarterback? With your easy answers after the fact, what do you think is going to be going on? And for you to say, "Oh, I understand. No, you don't actually understand what's going on here. I don't even think you watched the video, to be completely honest with you.
I also don't want to get into a place where everybody who gets into a fight or gets confronted, automatically has the legal right to then kill the other person. I think
when you're defending yourself, it's not what you necessarily want to do. And so for this Monday morning quarterback, liberal journalist, to act as though this is just about some fight or some dispute that went wrong and a man ended up stabbed, this is a robbery gone wrong. And you don't even know what's happening, and you're the journalist.
I think that takes us to a dangerous place, though I know probably most people disagree with me on that.
I think what most people would disagree with you on is the facts of the story. First off, you don't really seem to know them. And secondly, that people do have a right to defend themselves, and what happens, happens. And that's kind of the way that defense goes. You don't always know exactly what's going to happen, and you're almost making an argument that this convenience store worker who was being robbed didn't have a right to do so. That's what it sounds like to me.
You know, I think there's a question of whether it's intentional in a moment where you're trying to protect your life. And that's an important element. And he was terrified. He's an elderly man. He's 61 years old being attacked by a much younger, bigger, stronger man. You can understand how in the moment it would completely trigger a survival reflex. And I mean, as it should, and as he should have the right to do. But I agree that on a bail reform level, it puts conservatives in an interesting place. And frankly, it's not an issue that conservatives pay a ton of attention. Yeah, I agree that on a bail reform level, it puts conservatives in an interesting place. And frankly, it's not an issue that conservatives pay a ton of attention to. On the other hand, though, I do think with the rates of violent crime increasing in certain areas of this country, many major cities have seen increases in violent crime. There is nuance to this, but in certain major cities, they are seeing spikes in things like armed robbery.
You're 100% right. We haven't seen an increase in crime across the board everywhere. We've seen an increase in crime in the places where bail reform has happened, and the opposite of what we've seen here, where criminals have been released from jails at low bails who should have been kept in jail. And this man shouldn't have been sent to jail, but yet he was on a very high bail.
It is important for people like Alba to know that they can defend themselves. And on the flip side, it's important for people who do attack those like Alba, who want to start fights with people like Alba, to know that there's a deterrent in place, that this is, people are not going to be charged with murder when you have on video camera scenes of violence being perpetrated against them. So I also do understand, Ryan, why this seems to have resonated with a lot of people around the country. Viral give, send, go, viral video, lots of coverage of it, because I think people are genuinely worried about violent crime in their communities and want to know that they'd be comfortable, I guess, acting.
There's a risk that if you open up self-defense laws too dramatically, that you're going to have people take advantage of it.
This man always brings in things that have absolutely nothing to do with it. We're not talking about opening up self-defense laws. We're talking about one specific video where a man was being robbed, and now you're turning it into some weird political decision that no one's talking about. We already have self-defense laws in this country. You sound like you're defending the criminal in this case. You already called him a victim who was robbing somebody.
Yes.
You're going to have people who start fights, and then when the fight starts, then they're going to use deadly force against the person and say, look, I was defending myself. Now that's not what happened here.
I only left that part in this video to show how unbelievably out there you are with your argument. You didn't even watch the video. What you're reaching for is unbelievably ridiculous to make a case against self-defense. That's what you're doing. You're making a case against self-defense. And you don't even know it. You're such a liberal and you're so anti-defense. You'll let a man get robbed and then defend the robber.
But then you go back to the question, well, what if that is what happened here? What if he had, say, pushed somebody first?
He clearly doesn't know what happened in the story. He clearly does not know what happened in the story at all. It's unbelievable because he's the journalist. This man is being paid to cover this, and he has no idea what actually happened. And he's somehow making a random stuff reaching to defend who and what.
And then does that then close off the self-defense, or does he still have the self-defense right?
This is such a dumb argument that I can't even believe that we're listening to him state this argument. The only reason why I am is to point out how stupid this argument is, because this is already legally the case. I don't understand what you're talking about.
I think Alba is really lucky in this case that there was surveillance footage, because that's what mounted the sort of public backlash, which got his charge reduced and got his bail reduced.
Alba's more lucky than people know, because this video illustrates the fact that here you have this man, Ryan Grimm, who is a journalist for a media outlet, who is potentially portraying the victim as the aggressor and the aggressor as the victim. This is very dangerous because our media is doing whatever they want and they're just winging it. and they didn't even watch or read the story, didn't watch the video. This is dangerous. That's very dangerous. So it is extremely lucky that many other people watched the video, because this journalist who's covering the story did not.
Simon's girlfriend, the man that attacked Alba and was stabbed, allegedly also pulled a knife from her purse and stabbed Alba 3 times in the shoulder and hand. According to his attorney, she has not been charged, with the DA's office saying only, quote, "We are continuing to review the evidence and the investigation is ongoing."
This is unbelievable that these are the journalists telling you the story and they don't know the story. His girlfriend stabbed the convenience store worker who stabbed the boyfriend. So after he stabbed her boyfriend, she then stabbed him. And then he was arrested at his job while being robbed by 2 people. And she was not charged.
So continuing to review the evidence, a perfectly fair statement. But again, there's been this backlash against progressive prosecutors, progressive activists basically in DA's offices, whether it's Chesa Boudin in San Francisco, wherever it is, or here, Alvin Bragg in New York City.
It's because everywhere where we have liberal DAs, we have a higher crime rate. Everywhere where we have liberalism taking over, we have major issues. We have financial issues as well, not just crime rates through the roof. And liberalism doesn't accept the fact that it's their ideas that are causing the problem.
I think that's going to be a real problem for Democrats. If rates of violent crime are increasing, people need deterrence. They need to know that they will be, people will defend themselves and they will be legally within their rights to do that.
Liberalism doesn't seem to want you to have the right to defend yourself in any way. Is that you should just be a victim for whoever is victimizing you, whoever is taking from you.
Yeah, and I actually had missed that his girlfriend had a knife and had stabbed him, and I think that knowing that, I think that makes the situation a lot clearer, because now, he's seeing a deadly weapon also being deployed in a violent way against him, which could have easily led to him being killed. So I think that does kind of pull it out of some of that gray area into a clear self-defense picture.
And wow, even more, that's it. This is just unbelievable. This video is actually unbelievable to me, because he had no clue what actually happened in the story. And even once finding out that the girlfriend stabbed the bodega worker, then still misaccounted the timeline, because he has no idea of the actual story that's going on here, but blindly defended liberalism and attacked Republicans in the beginning by saying that Republicans would have a hard time with this. This is what liberalism, and this is the problem with the media. They're, in some cases, just have to have a story and just have to talk about a big story that happened so that they can just have said that they covered it and they talked about it. And they don't even cover it or talk about it properly, or even bring up the facts properly. And so how many people were just misled and misinformed by Ryan Grimm and the fact that he didn't even know the story? And I'm just going to end it there. This is ridiculous. This is unbelievable how our media is, and that they get paid to do this. That they have a job to do that they don't do. And this is just another example of it. If you've made it this far in this video, thanks for watching. And why haven't you subscribed yet? Why haven't you liked? You should definitely like and subscribe at this point.